welcome to Slash Dupe, the mysterious movie pitching podcast with a twist. Each member of today's podcast has been given the same movie or TV title, some time to prepare, and has come to the table to pitch their own unique take on that title. And as always, I'm joined by my Slash Dupe regulars and co-hosts Dan and Ryan, and one of them is the Dupe. And after the break, we'll be hearing a very special pitch from the Dupe. The Dupe is the person at the table who has not been given the title in advance, and they will have to improvise their idea at the end of the show following everybody else's.
So, Sean, what is a slash dupe?
That's a really, really fantastic question. And I'll tell you. A slash dupe is, and I've never been asked it before, so I'm humbled and amazed. Brand new. A slash dupe is a film in the very early stages of post-production. It's a rough, unfinished version of a film that functions as the building blocks of what it can eventually become. So what we promise the listeners on Slash Dupe is at least that. You will get the framework, the building blocks of a film. You will get a slash dupe. But thank you for asking that. That sultry voice you heard is our guest today, Alexander. How are you doing, Alexander? It's good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much, gents. I'm not too bad. How are you?
Good. I'm excited. How confident are you with your idea? Not revealing it for the dupe, of course, what title you've been given, but
I'm relatively confident because I'm always coming up with film ideas for my own brain anyway. So I had kind of a short list of things to draw from in that respect.
Okay. Well, let's hope that you give us one of your mediocre ideas so that you keep the good ones still in your head. That's the key. Not too bad that we don't like it, and not too good that we'll steal it, right? You've got to get somewhere in between.
I'm working with Alexander at the moment. I can tell you he's pretty confident about pretty much everything.
Fair enough.
Very true. Very, very true.
What are you guys working on at the moment? You're working together. What are you working on?
Yeah, we are at the Watermill Theatre in Newbury doing a musical called Just So, in which I'm playing a rhinoceros who several times tries to essentially kill Dan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping in the final show you'll succeed. I mean, that's what
Death
by Rhino is how his insurance waiver, his wife wrote is. Yeah.
In all fairness, I think it was yesterday afternoon we had a bit of a wet show because we were outdoors, and we both slipped at the same time, and I almost did headbutt / impale Dan in his chest.
You almost gored him to death.
It was a close call yesterday.
It was a pretty close call.
Them's the risks. It's a high risk job, constantly.
Yeah. We have insurance.
Well, how are you feeling, Dan, and how are you feeling, Ryan, about it? Dan, you've had the title for a little while. You've been prepared.
For a whole while, a really long time.
Let's not reveal to the audience how little time you've had the title.
It's been a long time.
Keep the mystery that you've had it for a long time.
Yeah, and I've used all of that time productively. Not on the pitch.
Yes,
I've used it really
that's very
productively.
vague, but I appreciate that.
What about you, Ryan? After relinquishing the chains of the dupism, which is a new word I'll be entering into the dictionary this year, the dupism to Dan, I think it's nice to get it back and see if I still got it. See if blow out the dust out of these old pipes. Or
what Ryan's saying is he's really sad that I've been doing an amazing job, and he wants it back to see whether he can.
You know, like when you watch somebody else play with your toys and you're like, you're kind of doing it wrong. But they're still having fun, though. So you know what?
I'm coming up with better stories.
Yeah, they're still having fun, though. So, you got to let that happen.
Well, I don't have an idea for today's episode because I am your peerless moderator. I'm Sean. At the end of the episode, I'll be selecting a winning idea to go through to the next heat. And what happens with that winning idea at the end of the season, we will explain to you at the halfway point of today's episode. So stick around. So I can reveal, if everybody's ready, I can reveal the title for today's Slash Dupe. We have the title River House. Your Slash Dupe title for today is River House. So who wants to start? We were talking just before we jumped on about throwing Dan in the deep end. And I like that, Alexander. I'm with you. I already feel our connection because that's exactly what I want to happen as well today. So,
Motherfuckers.
So it's going to be Dan first, I think, today.
Well, it's okay because Alexander's going to have a 4-hour drum call when we get back next week.
That's fine. That is my life.
That's mixing business and pleasure. That's what this is.
Only 4 hours. Well, fair enough.
Easy.
Yeah, it will just be the opening of one number. Just all the way over for 4 hours.
Like Whiplash.
Yeah, not my tempo.
Oh my god.
I would never dare throw a chair at Alexander because it would come back twice as hard back at me.
Throw a whole drum kit and piano and the rest of the cast and everyone else.
Right, give us River House down. I'm excited.
So I'm going first, am I?
Oh,
Great.
please. Yeah.
Well, lucky. I shall read from my pitch that I have written.
I really thought you had something there for a minute.
Okay. It starts with it starts with Thandiwe Newton because that's her name now.
Okay.
So spelt correctly after years of not being being spelt incorrectly, and she's taken back the power for her name. Previously, we would have known as Thandiwe Newton, but that's not her anymore. And she's scrolling through a dating app. I don't know about dating apps.
I can definitely
know
about them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I genuinely don't. We talk about this, that if I had been in my prime in the time of dating apps, I may not be married right now. But fortunately, they weren't around. So I'm in a
have
10,000.
I'm in a 10,000 wait list for a dating app at the minute. So
Which dating app is this?
I can tell you about.
How does that work?
Talk to me about it.
Is it like buying a flat? Are you in a chain?
It's called POM, but I don't want to give them any free exposure that they don't already have. Could be a sponsor, who knows? But it's a music matching dating app. So they have to wait to process all of your information, and they find someone who listens to the same music as you.
That's kind of cool.
Is that an indication of someone being compatible with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to this,
of all the things.
Then they also say
to that
opposite
one Britney Spears song.
Yeah.
Okay,
See, I love my fiance dearly, but I do, and this is controversial, and I hope I don't know what sort of company I'm in, so this is quite risky. I'm not a huge fan of 80s music, right? I'm very sorry.
You're in the wrong company.
Am I?
You're in the wrong company.
I like musicals, though. Come on. What's going on?
Okay, fine. Okay.
I like musicals. I appreciate
How can you
80s
not like
music,
80s music?
but I think it can be applied very specifically. When your fiancée is working from home and she asks the Echo, I can't say the name of it or I'll say it now, but she asks the listening device in our house to play Madonna over and over again every day. For me, that's a problem.
No.
I know Alexander's giving me a look.
80, I mean, it's...
No. Now, the fact that you identify 80s music as there is 80s music is literally the foundation to every pop song we have now. Two of the biggest selling, no, not even the biggest selling albums came out in the 80s of all time. Madonna quails in comparison.
So what am I getting wrong then? What are the biggest sellers? What do I need to, if I'm going 80s music and I want to impress my fiancé?
Thriller.
It's Thriller 80s or 70s? Bad is 80s, wasn't it? Bad was definitely out in the 80s.
This is just Dan stalling for time, by the way.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have started a music conversation with two people that know far more about music than I do. Stick to your lane, Sean, it's films.
November 8th, 1982, Michael Jackson's Thriller was released.
There we go.
Yeah. All right, that's fair enough. But could you listen to Thriller every day?
Yes.
No, I know. As I said it, I could see it in your face. Yeah,
yes.
I could see you. What is not to like about that album?
All right, maybe I need to educate myself on 80s music. That's the.
Well, look, I'm going to blend this in. Okay. I'm going to blend this in because it actually sits quite nicely with what I'm doing. And she swipes and connects with Stephen Graham on the app.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I know. But, who is to question Thandiwe's taste? It is what it is. And I'm sure Stephen Graham would be privileged to have matched with her.
Damn right.
Anyway, so they're having chats. She's talking to her friends in a pub about it. And it pings up. And he suggests that they have a date. He lives on a narrowboat. So he's like, why don't you come? Hang out on the narrowboat. It'll be near a pub with your friends, so don't worry about it. And we'll just will sit on the roof. It's quite romantic, and we see the opening of it is really just seen through sort of these texts. You know how they did with Sherlock, where it pops up on the screen and you can see the text going on as she's walking down. We get some sort of rural. No, it's probably because of my time in Newbury. We get some Newbury kind of rural walks and stuff as she's doing this. We see her life. We get a little insight into her life. Maybe we can come up with what kind of person she is. Anyway, so she turns up to this houseboat, and no one's come out to meet her. So she gets on board. She knocks, and she opens the door into it, and Stephen Graham's there, dead.
Oh, okay. All right.
We think.
Okay, that was a...
See, there we are.
That took a turn.
There's the twist.
That took a real turn.
Smashed it. And as she walks, she's scared. She goes to pick up a phone and ring the police. And the doors to the narrowboat shut behind her. And the narrowboat starts up and goes off.
Oh.
And it goes into sort of she trying to rattle the doors. Doors won't open. And obviously she has no phone signal, of course, because we have to take her away from communication with the outside world.
Yeah.
Then, and this is where I'll need a bit of help here, is whether it goes down full thriller, sort of in the moors, boat in the mists, and every now and again we hear like bumping on the things, or there's bits that she finds out about him, like she finds bits of his possessions that are like more and more scary. Like maybe he's a mass murderer, but we don't know whether he's a murderer. Has she avoided being another one on the list? Or is it a murder mystery where she finds out more about him, and as she finds out more about him, we get little flashbacks of his life of her like working it out. But it's like a one person, one set murder mystery with a third act twist. And I think if it's a murder mystery, it's that if it's a thriller, which with this kind of thing, it's the third act twist is that it's actually Stephen Graham's twin that he's murdered on there, who had come to try and stop her from turning up so that she wouldn't get killed. He's found out that his brother's doing this, and it's actually him, and maybe she gets murdered and he lives on. And he throws them both over the edge of the boat and sails off into the mist at the end. Or if it's a murder mystery, I don't know what the third act twist would be. Maybe she killed him and she passed out and didn't know she'd done it. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Yes, Ryan.
Is there like when the doors close behind her, is there like some kind of Saw voice thing that like plays on
screens or
like
play
escape
out?
room
Yeah.
type thing?
Does the boat moving play out like a plan, like a grand plan? Is it like part of the machinations of this thing, or is it just...
Well, I think if it's a thriller, we don't know whether it's like ghostly scary, like weird. But if it's that kind of
popularity of... Because there's that film Escape Room, isn't there, that came out. And then now they've done Escape Room 2, which I honest to God, they have an escape room inside of a train. So they clearly listen to this podcast.
When we're talking about this train
terminates, right? But that, you know, that's it. It sort of... Is it the return of like torture porn films, or is it trying to be more of like a murder mystery?
I think I would like the idea of sort of a murder mystery over torture porn, I think. From personal preference.
It's one of those things that's timed where it's like find out why he's dead, and then like not that there's a voiceover, but find out why he's dead and she gains like the ability to be free of this thing. It's like she's got to solve it and figure it out. But then you need the thing that prevents her from getting off the boat. You need the ticking clock that adds the tension. You need the location of where the boat's going.
I think when she finally gets her way out, she's not on a canal anymore. She's in a wide expanse of water. So there's no way out without her trying to swim away into misty lake. She doesn't know. There's no boundary. Water is scary, isn't it? Isolation in water is quite scary. And maybe the timing is like the boat is sinking. Is it slowly filling up with water?
That'll be the third act twist. That'll be like, it doesn't seem like lots happening, and then she'll see... Like at the start, she'll jump on and there'll be a logo on the side, you know, and then later on in the movie, she looks and the logo's half covered in water. And she's like, that's the sort of signifier of like, shit, I think the boat's going down. So that's like when you need a jolt in the story. You want to sort of ratchet up the tension. And then she's running around trying to figure out, opens up a board, and then, there's water pouring in. But then also when she's trying to plug it, she finds something down there, of course, doesn't she? That's like the next clue.
Oh, I thought you meant, because if it's sealed, I thought you meant that the boat like is literally being taken down like underwater, and she'd be in like an airtight. So as soon as it fills in at the top, then she's
that's not how narrowboats work. I like that now.
But like it's modded, right? Clearly, and also, but if you've ever been in a narrowboat,
it's modded clearly for a submarine.
The doors don't automatically close either. So those are.
That's true. But someone might have closed them behind her. We don't know.
But there's storage.
So there might be someone on the boat with her.
Well, there's storage,
which is really strange because it's so small, right? Like narrowboats aren't big. There's not many places for people to hide, but it's like there is, or someone outside watching her or something. Maybe she sees like a torch coming through the window.
Oh! You know what's horrible? You know how you said like, look, we'll sit on top and have a picnic, and it'll be nice, and your friends are at a bar not far away. Mm-hmm. So like when she goes in, there's like someone that looks like her sitting on, like facing away from her friends, sitting on top of the boat.
You're taking this doppelganger
How did she see
idea.
that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's if there is someone in there, because then when
also,
her friends look over and they're like,
in the middle of a lake now at this point.
If they're having a good time, yeah, that's true actually. And then also the idea of hearing someone walking around the edge or crawling over the top while you're inside is creepy, because then you think that and it could also just not be, but then all the creaks and cracks and bumps and everything that like come through from that.
So to aid sort of figuring this out, here's sort of what I would do, because I love horror films, but only specific horror films, and I'm very sort of picky and choosy, and I like to sort of I have a few mates that love horror films, and they sort of say, hey, you need to watch these, and this is a bit like this is a bit like that. So like we've got sort of the first act, let's say. We've got the mystery, we've got the dead person, we've got the phone thing, we've got her on the boat, and it goes out into the mist. What are your favourite horror films, and like what sort of genres are they in? And then are they things we can pluck from? You know, what do you guys think?
I really like The Ring. That's one of my favourite sort of thriller horrors. I really like that.
I rate the remake, by the way. I know it's contentious, but I rate Gore Verbinski's remake of The Ring. I think that's one of the better Western remake of sort of Japanese horror films, but I'm happy to be contradicted. As evidenced earlier on with 80s music.
She goes to one of the rooms. Yeah, she goes to one of the rooms. She comes back. Stephen Graham's body is gone. That's got to happen, right? Because then maybe he isn't dead. So now we're double worried.
Alexander, what was your favourite horror movie?
I think. Well, I lean more towards the thriller side of that genre. So. I think in recent years, as I'm sure we'll all agree, Get Out was incredible.
Yeah.
Truly, Jordan Peele's a somewhat not overnight genius, but it was a fantastic film. I watched a film when I was young called Pavement, which was about it was about a killer. It was a man tracker who the FBI brought in to find a murderer, and it turned out the murderer was actually someone that was supposedly catatonic in hospital.
Right, okay.
Which was, I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And then there's an independent British thriller film called Newtown Killers.
Right.
Which,
no, I've not heard of it. I'm going to have to open up my Uber. I'm going to have to get involved.
That's a very good film. It's essentially about a group of high society people, and they pay someone working class, so to speak, 10 grand, and if they survive the night, they can I think they double their money or something.
That's really interesting.
But they are all literally going out of their way to kill this person. So I prefer the threat because I prefer Jeopardy. The ideas of, for example, the slasher flicks and stuff, I was like, there's not really Jeopardy because you've cast 12 teenagers, if you like, and it's like, only one of you are going to survive. Like, you're all lambs to the slaughter. Like, there's no real Jeopardy per se.
Jeopardy is a great word to use. You're right. You're right.
And I think on your idea, Dan, something that to kind of, if you like to add a Jeopardy factor, if she has a fear of water.
That's it, man.
I like that. She's overcome it for this person. I like it.
Yeah.
And maybe she can communicate on her phone, but only via the dating app.
That's fantastic. So it's like either back to the guy she thought she was talking to, right, which is also adds a dimension of terror, or to just a handful of people, because she's run out of credits or whatever. So a handful of the people that she's previously talked to on the app. So it's like people who've maybe rejected
some of them don't
her,
believe
and some of them,
exactly.
that she's rejected.
Or one people she's rejected,
That's really interesting. So then you have the dimension of like, it's less like, is there something supernatural going on, and more like she needs to get out of this place.
Human.
And she's afraid of everything that's around her. And she just got over her fear. It's like coming out of the pandemic, isn't it? You just get over this sort of stuff.
Just over fear of water.
And
now she's on a boat with a dead man.
I was listening to the. I have to just drop this.
We've done it.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Go on.
I have to just drop this because I was listening to the Bo Burnham's Inside soundtrack again on the way to this, recording, and just the fact that like that song's just tremendous. Where he's like, he takes the break in the middle and he's like, I stopped doing this stuff on stage because I used to get like panic attacks, and I spent like 5 years getting over it, and my mental health was great, and then I was just about to start touring again, and it was 2019, and so he's sort of like, it's like the irony of like, I love, and I think coming out of the pandemic people are going to feel that. Like I just talked to someone today who was like, I just passed my driving test and the pandemic hit, and I haven't been able to drive for 2 years, so it's basically like I never learned, right?
Starting again.
Yeah. So that's something we can all
so she's talking to her friends at the beginning about how she's got over her fear of water, and like she's going to go and meet this guy in this river house on the
I had a daddy issue
so
in
she
there
does,
as well. So the fear came
maybe her dad died.
Yeah.
Maybe her dad died
in the
when they were sailing. Or something. And so then she goes on and and she can only communicate with, and maybe some of those, in the horrific way that some dating apps have, some of those men try to take advantage of that.
Yeah. 100%.
By trying to get onto that, so the riverboat. So she's trapped inside it, but they're trying to get in, trying to help. Well, I'll come and help you, darling. Blah blah blah. So actually, it becomes more of a. This is great now. It becomes more of a commentary on modern day society than it does, but a thriller in that regards as well.
Well, thanks for your contribution, Alexander, as well, because that's the thing. Like, not just Jeopardy, but also social commentary. Like horror films, they really have to say something about the time we're living in, the people we live around. Like otherwise, they're just there for. As torture porn or a slasher films, like they do have to say something. I like this idea a lot. Maybe you should have gone first, Alexander. This is a good one.
No, Alexander's is going to be better. It's great.
I've got great ideas.
Yeah, so actually we only need one person.
You've accented Dan's ideas very well. Yeah, that's enough.
This is great. Winning. So I don't think it's a big cast at all. And
keep it. You definitely have to keep this one tight, like quite small.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's got to feel claustrophobic, hasn't it? It's got to feel,
because
and then big expansive shots of what you're not.
It's the feeling of water, like when you go to like a swimming pool or in the ocean or what have you. When you completely submerge yourself, considering how vast an ocean is, or a lake or what have you. Like, you do feel completely enclosed because there's no air, there's nothing like that. So if you keep everything small and tight camera shots and so on, I like that.
Even sound wise, like a lot of like not much reverb, like some really dry sound, so it doesn't feel big. You feel really nervous. A lot of breathing, like her breath, like in Blair Witch, where you got loads of breath going on.
100%.
So we get a lot of that, and little sounds, a lot all the creaks and the constant soundscape that's going on that hints to more than actually is. Like when a pipe cracks in the middle of the night, like that little expansion of a pipe in the middle of the night. Like, I'm just about to get murdered now. That's it.
It's over. It is over.
So are we having like an ambient soundtrack? Are we going to have just the sound of lapping water? Because
Thriller made
that's
me
quite
think,
frightly. Weirdly, just the sound of lapping water is weird to me. Over and over.
But I think maybe there's the radio that constantly plays random 80s music. So definitely Thriller. Like, it almost in an ironic kind of way, but then it's on and off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like maybe it shorts out halfway through. Like the radio's her only company, and then it shorts out. And but it would probably be more soundscapey than it would be any. I was thinking Edgar Wright to direct it, because I think he'd do a good job with that kind of.
We'd have to see after his new film, right? After his Last Night in Soho. So we'd have to see how he does with what seems like a straight horror. if that is, I think it seems like a bit of a straight horror, a bit of a weird one, but it'd be nice to see what he does with it. But yeah, only
because it's intrinsically English as well. Do you know what I mean? It feels like canal boats, narrow boats are really sort of a very English thing, aren't they?
Yeah,
is that right?
Well, they are, I guess.
But like, the narrow boat, the barge, it does feel British, doesn't it? Yeah.
Because our auntie talked about
corrected.
Our auntie talked about. She went, I went like canal boating with the girls like in the south of France, and I expected a narrowboat barge, and it was like a tiny yacht. Yeah, which is like a juxtaposition in itself.
I think she wanted to not say I went yachting. I didn't think she felt like she was ready to move into the upper middle class bracket. But yeah, I like it. Or even maybe like a sort of like a first film from a young director, right?
Maybe, yeah. You know, I mean, how they got those names will be beyond me, but maybe they were given the chance.
It's all in the script, right? If the script's good enough, and then they can produce it, so Tandy can produce it. It's sort of her vehicle to sort of, you know, and she can sort of, you know, have an input in the script in the correct ways, of course. We don't want an Edward Norton Incredible Hulk situation. So yeah, and in the correct ways. But I think that turned out to be quite good, didn't it? Look at Dan's smug face.
I'm like, pulled it off, distracted him with 80s music, came back strong.
Indeedy.
That's about as good as I'm ever going to get on this one, I'm afraid, Sean.
Yeah, but no, that's okay.
You know, thanks for listening.
I'm glad to have witnessed your peak anyway. That's good.
Widow's peak.
Thank you for that, Dan. That was your pitch for River House. It turned out to be quite interesting, an idea I definitely like to see. And I'm very, very excited to hear your idea for River House, Alexander.
Indeed, River House. Right. So, I'm going to do it a bit different. I'm going to tell you who I think or who I'd like to see in it first.
Okay.
Just so you can kind of go, that's a very strange combination of people. So your protagonists will be Miles Teller from Whiplash fame, Daniel Kaluuya, obviously no need to explain who he is. Lakeith Stanfield, who was recently in Judas and the Black Messiah, and also was in a film very recently with Danny Glover, which I always forget the name of, but if you Google those two names together, it's a fantastic film and a great watch. Lupita Nyong'o, and also the little Olsen who plays Scarlet Witch. Is it Elizabeth
Olsen?
Elizabeth Olsen. Alongside them will also be Steven Berkoff and Sebastian Stan. Okay. So the idea is that
it's a big cask.
Yeah, no, of course.
That's an ensemble film, isn't it? That's a proper ensemble.
Yeah. So the idea is that the group, so the main protagonist, which I mentioned earlier, a group of friends, work colleagues in kind of a nondescript corporate setting. Make of that what you will, whether that be law firm, accounting, what have you. And it's kind of about 2 or 3 years since they left university and started working professionally. And so to kind of let go of a bit of steam, it's been a very hard transition, as it is for a lot of people. They decide to go on a holiday to Cancun. I say Cancun simply because that is kind of the place where a lot of Americans seem to go on their party holidays. It could be anywhere, but we'll go with Cancun.
I've been to Cancun, and I can confirm it's a good place to go. So
well, there we go. So while on their trip to Cancun, it's kind of, you see in the background via television screens and varying other kind of medias like pop-ups on the phone screens that we see, and so on and so forth, that the world is in a bit of a political mess at that given time. And once they arrive in Cancun after, say, a good night of celebration and kind of letting off steam, the world essentially goes to war.
Right, okay.
So while intoxicated and what have you, and busy doing all manner of other things, there is a kind of an alert that comes up on a screen in a bar, screens everywhere, kind of an emergency broadcast that we are, America and the world, it's going to war. There's a political standoff, let's say, between America and Russia, or Korea, or what have you, and missiles have been fired, and Washington is already on fire, essentially. Sleeper agents are activated, people are being assassinated, all sorts of things are happening, and it is an absolute bloodbath. And so then, because of which, flights and such are grounded. But because of where they are, the Mexican government have decided to go against America, which has been kind of a tenuous relationship at best over the last few years as is. And the rebels of Mexico start to kill American nationals, essentially. So the plot point being that they have to find their way home, make their way home. But in order to do so, they obviously have to get back across the border.
I like it.
It's one of those things where it's not simple. It's not, oh yeah, let's just go to the airport, get back on a plane, and everything will be okay. It's not that simple at all. And so they hear of a safe house, an abandoned safe house, which is codenamed River House, which is where
which is the title. Yeah.
There you go. Job done. But in order to get there, they have to overcome Sebastian Stan, who is, let's say he's a, I don't want to say CIA agent or military or what have you, but he's working alongside them. He's defected, so he's working alongside the Mexican government.
Right. Okay.
They, at one point or another, they foil a plot of his by complete accident in a very Miles Teller way of, I didn't mean to press that button. And so it's almost the serious triangle of, we need to get there, but we also have to stop him. None of us are used to killing anyone. We're not military trained in any way, shape or form, no combat training, but we are thrust into this position.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. Yeah. And I think what's funny is, like, you often sort of think good ideas are all well and good, but if they don't speak to the sort of time that we're in, they might not get made, or they might not get seen by anyone. Like, no one will spread the word.
100%.
But particularly with what's going on at this particular moment in time, with Afghanistan and everything, there's a lot of... I think it's interesting to sort of explode the... so that genuinely is not that's a poor choice of words, but I mean, we definitely want to open up and take a look into like the idea of refugees, or the idea of like prisoners of war, the idea of, and I think, like, I love it that they go to Cancun for like a holiday, and then it turns into, like, the roles almost reverse, and you sort of... I think it would be good to see all of these American actors, obviously American characters. Sorry, I know a handful of them are British actors. It would be amazing to see them as American characters trying to, I don't know, do what you seldom see American characters have to do, right?
Yeah, because you always have like a hero complex, don't they? And it's like sort of like if I've got to be like act patriotic, I think is the sense, but not in the sort of stiff upper lip way that we say in the Brits, but like, you know, if you're American, you feel like you have to save the world, don't you? America Saves the World is in fact, if anything, it should be a subgenre on on IMDb. But I think this is. I had a question. So obviously the family that go on holiday to Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
Or the friends, the ensemble, the company.
The sort of ensemble. Yeah. I didn't know if any of them were familyed up, and they've all got to get back. But is it like, so when you said they've got to get to the River House, is it like a place, or is it like Operation River House?
River House is. I imagine River House to be the code name for the kind of because so right, a little story. So my I have a cousin who lives in America, an older cousin whose husband was Air Force, and we will say died very mysteriously. Apparently banged his head in a bathroom and died, if you like. And so he had a conversation with my father one time when I was young, and informed my dad that many of the leading powers of the world, I say that with inverted commas, have secret bases within or safe houses within varying countries. So I imagine, therefore, with using that logic, if you like, River House to be the safe house within Mexico.
Right.
Okay.
The US safe house, basically. The operation and the US safe house.
Yeah. To be, and whether it's one of those ones where it's a Planet of the Apes moments, and it's like, damn you all, because they get there and like.
I was going to say, is that what happens when they get to America, right? Yeah, it's like the sacking of the Shire or whatever it's called. Like they get the scouring of the Shire. They get there and it's just destroyed.
But it is like I don't imagine it to be a varying like 2012 shot of like the Taj Mahal blowing up and the pyramids burning down and the London Eye falling into the ocean. I wouldn't imagine any of those things at all.
So, can I make a suggestion?
Aliens, the weather, they always attack the monuments, of course. The most famous monuments in each country, don't they? Of course they do.
Indeed.
So what I like the idea of, because I remember, you know, when the whole thing was going on with Trump and the wall and everything like that, and they were interviewing people like along Texas and those sort of areas, and there are literally places where it's like there's literally no more than like a few meters between them and Mexico, right? And maybe I like the idea of that the River House contains secret tunnels that get you back across the border.
That works.
So it's like secret tunnels like under that have been dug, so that like if they need to extract people in and out, they're sort of like guarded and like cambered and stuff like that. As you said, so it's they are trying to, so they put Sebastian Stan like in it basically. Some Miles is saying something gets in it.
So are we saying that are they all from the same office, or just some of them, like, did they meet them in Cancun?
Like, I think there is definitely space for some of them to work together. There could be perhaps an awkward love triangle. It could be that Lupita. Well, exactly. It could be that Lupita and Daniel are brother and sister, or relatives, or cousins, or what have you. I think it's a group of friends where there is, you can tell from the get-go there is history. It's not kind of just we met while working, like whether it is a kind of as I think the only tangible example I can think of is a stronger group of friends as in American Pie, when they all went to high school together as much as they. Well, no, of course.
I was watching them recently. A long time. Were you?
I was watching them recently. Yeah, they were on television. Did you do the whole lot?
How far did you get down the?
I watched 1 and I watched 2, and then I didn't watch 3 because it's stupid.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's good to stop it too, I think.
Yeah. But like as good a group of friends as that, in that there is a lot of history, and they all like, it's like not one individual knows someone that they don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then by the end, have they torn each other apart to try and get back to America, or are they tight as a nut when they get back? How does it work?
Me personally, I think we have seen the story many a time where in a film like this, where not everyone makes it back and there will be sacrifices and people die and what have you. But I think the interesting story is, what does it look like if everyone does survive? If the protagonists do survive, how does that change life?
Yeah.
Like,
so
how does...
I always find it interesting.
Like The Impossible, because that's a reference that where like it's about the family sort of banding together to survive this sort of thing, rather than are they going to splinter, are they going to destroy. It's much more about sort of coming together and supporting each other to get over something. So that's more what you've got in mind for this?
Yeah, most definitely. And also I think you touched on something as well earlier in the kind of social political commentary within it, with things going on in the world at the moment, in the Middle East, forever in North America, within Britain as well, and practically everywhere, to be honest. Yeah. For those things to be highlighted, or to have a magnifying glass on those things, to kind of say, look, this, like, have a readjustment period, have a moment to kind of go, oh yeah, you know what, things aren't actually too great at the moment, you know. And then we can use the protagonists in individual forms in terms of a reference point for patriotism or what have you. Do you see what I mean? Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I like the idea. So there's two things I think are really interesting. One is that where would, like, if there are a group of friends that all work in an office, let's say, or they're going away, like, where does people sort of blame sits within race? Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone, like, if they're let's say they're a British company and they're in Cancun, or they said they're going back to America, but something like that, how would they treat other people who started it? Or there might be like a little bit Mexican, or half, I've got a Mexican parent.
I see.
Like so what does that sort of mean to the group? Does someone start going, well, actually, like, I know you're my friend and everything like that, but like it's your people.
Well,
you know?
I just want to say, like, this almost like harks back to, you think about like the Japanese prisoner of war camps and stuff, right? Like that's something that happened, you know. Yeah. And it's sort of quite amazing to think about it, like that it happened. So you could even have, like, if anybody is a part Mexican, or even because they're American, or there's elements of that, isn't there? And of possibly being.
And then the other thing I find interesting is, and you often do this in groups, but like, let's say you always have the conversation of like, if there was a zombie apocalypse, who would do what, or if we were cave people, who would be the hunter and who would be the gatherers, and those sort of things. So it'd be interesting to see, like, if they've got a get to this river house, like, people in their specific job functions, like the project manager is like, right, okay, here's what we've got to do, like, and they're like, listen, I need you, and if someone's like the receptionist, they're just like, cool, I'm gonna go and like grab this and this, like, oh, I know where that would be, like, I'd keep this like in this place. So it'd be interesting to see effectively like what roles each person takes on.
It's a hell of a team building exercise, isn't it? Yeah.
No, but that's again, that's
what it should feel like, right?
Yeah, 100%. But also then it's like I said, like, none of them went to scouts as kids, like none of them have any military, like, they are literally regular Joes. Like, it's like as normal a man, woman, what have you, as you can find. Like, so it's not a case of, this is going to become a great action film because Miles Teller's going to Michael Bay off the side of the bus and start shooting Sebastian Stan. It's not going to happen. Like, they are like regular. And I know that in our head, regular in terms of what a regular man and woman is to British people, as opposed to a regular man and woman to Americans, because obviously they have a gun culture over there. and what have you. I think, again, you can play with the politics of it because there is a growing movement of anti-gun people in America, and having that kind of line, where do they sit within that as well? Like, so there is a lot to play with, but I just love the idea of it literally being regular people, kind of almost the people you see in the background of, do you know what I mean? Like Batman versus Superman.
That makes complete sense when
everything's going to absolute crap. The people in the back, like, what's their story? What's going on for them?
Yeah,
it's not can you step up? It's could you step up?
It's 100%. 100%.
So
that's the that's the tagline.
That's something that Sebastian Stan will say. Like, look, I know none of you have done. I'm not asking you. Can you step up? Could you step up? Because that's the thing. Like, someone's got to take charge, right? And if you're all looking at each other, like if you're a regular Joe's like, I've never done this. Who's the person? Like, I think, what was the Darren Brown, like the plane where the guy landed the plane thing? Do you remember that? Like that. It was like he gave him that minute to do it, and no one else put their hand up, and he was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And it was that sort of thing. So that is the thing. And who in your group, even if you're a regular Joe, has the chutzpah to do that,
Well, so who has the chutzpah, as you said, to direct this movie? Who's gonna bring this movie to light?
I also thought about that too, and someone who I think everybody seems to be in love with at the moment, and has been since roughly 2017. And that would be Taika Waititi.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it. Just interesting. You started that.
Yes. Yeah.
It does feel like.
I think because also
from Green Lantern fame.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Carry on.
No, but also I think because he would, I think he would be able to direct it well in terms of the drama of it and how it would look. And feel, but I also think with the actors that I've offered, there is a very dark sense of humor within it, because like when I think we can all agree, when nervous, like the first thing to try and do is diffuse tension, and the best way to do that is to try and make a joke about something. Like we have some of the driest humor in Miles Teller. Like who like he's in a lot of things I've seen, he's very dry in the way he comes across comedically. Equally, Lakeith Stanfield is very witty, off the cuff, very quick one-liners. Daniel Kaluuya was in Skins, like it started in kind of comedy drama world, Lupita Nyong'o, I forget the name of the film, but she's guiding children through is it a zombie apocalypse?
I saw her in something and she was hilarious, and like I just didn't expect it, I can't remember what it is, but maybe it was the same thing.
No, exactly. So it's like I think that has to be touched on, and so you can either go down the route of let's get the most dramatic actor, or get Sam Raimi or something, who's really going to bring out the thriller side and heightened tension. Or you can go for someone that is going to find the drama and also find the human side. Because again, like I said, it's almost the people in the background. Like what would they be doing in this moment? And I think he would capture that quite well. I think the only other thing to add is, and I guess that's because I'm a musician, is the composer, and in terms of what this film sounds like. And personally, I think it would have to be Dr. Dre, simply because they're gonna be they're gonna be in Cancun, right? So it starts and is shot as a party sort of vibe, it's that kind of false trailer of 5 friends going on the party of a lifetime. And it's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, like Dr. Dre, like just big bass lines, massive drums. But what does that sound like when it's supposed to be for dramatic effect? We saw a very good example, to reference another Marvel film, with Black Panther, with Kendrick Lamar doing most of that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like what does it sound like when we have modern day music that is designed for intense jeopardy, you know?
Yeah. Sure. It's that Jeopardy again, man. Yeah.
Always. Double Jeopardy. Yeah. Great film.
That was a fantastic idea. Thanks, Alexander. Really appreciated that, and it was had a bunch of twists and turns and a lot of and like a fantastic ensemble. Arguably, I would say also probably the best ensemble that we've had on Slash Dupe so far. I think that's easily.
For sure.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So thanks for that. But before Ryan, the Dupe, gives us his idea for River House, his Slash Dupe for River House, we need Dan and Ryan to refresh me, not because I've forgotten, but because I want to hear it from them. What happens at the end of this episode, and then what happens at the end of this season, which is fast approaching. I think we're on our second of 6 for this.
We keep releasing specials to try and hold off the inevitable making a film trailer, but it's going to happen soon.
Yes, so that's what we're going to do. At the end of the season, we're going to turn the winning idea into a film trailer. That will be available for.
We've already chosen 3 of those entries from adjudicator rounds that we've had already.
Name them quickly. Let's see if you're as big a super fan as I think you are, Ryan. Name the 3 winners you've had so far.
This train terminates. Mole or Mole.
Uh-huh.
And was it Fence?
It's a trap because I can't remember. Either.
Yeah.
Let's edit in the correct answer in a comical
fashion. And the answer
to
the middle one is.
Good.
Okay, cool. That's some extra work for you there,
Perfect.
Dan.
So
it's
not going to get edited in. I'm just going to put the one where we don't know.
So we've got this episode 20. So we've got 4 more to go till the end of the season, where we'll do one last adjudicator, and then we will have our grand final where we will pick that winner.
Yes, and it's people at home. It's people listening, people at home. That's an old old stock phrase, isn't it? Because that's the old wireless when they can only listen to things on the wireless. People listening now.
Now it's a different kind of wireless that we use to listen to it.
It's deep.
Smash
that. So it's you guys listening now. When it comes to the finale, we want you guys to vote on who the overall winner will be. That will turn into a trailer. You'll have a hand in that directly. So I'm excited about, just before you drop yours in, Ryan, I heard about River House. I don't know if it's official or unofficial. I can't say necessarily. But I heard that River House is actually a code name, and it's the code name for the MI5, MI6 building. So that's where I heard of River House, 4 or 5 years ago. I heard this. So Alexander was on the money with it being a code name, right? So I can't hurt his chances as winner today, definitely not. And so that's where I thought, what an interesting idea for a title off of that, because it feels like it's sort of code based, isn't it?
Yeah, my James Bond memory just kicked in, and I'm pretty sure
we all have one of those, don't we? Our James Bond sense.
100%. I'm pretty sure it's in Skyfall that it is referenced when they're escaping to Scotland. I'm pretty sure that it is. I might watch that later just to double check.
Yeah. I just bought the Daniel Craig series on 4K, so I'm gonna have to crack on with that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, just skip Quantum of Solace while you're doing that.
Okay, we're gonna have to have a talk after this, because I'm a Quantum of Solace fan. All right, so you educate me on 80s music, and I'll have a chat to you about Quantum of Solace.
Well, that is a perfect segue into my pitch. Love it.
Is it a James Bond? Is it a James Bond film?
No. More in and around the 80s. So, as per usual, I came up with a couple of ideas. One of them was, I don't know if you guys have got around to playing The Flame in the Flood. It's a really interesting indie game where you basically have a raft that you travel sort of down this massive river. And I sort of was inspired by that. So, sort of post-apocalyptic movie where their group of people have like a house, sort of house raft they've crafted together, and they're sailing down sort of quite bleak, like the road, which is what my first thought. And then we started talking about 80s, and I thought, and then it just clicked with me. River House is the sequel to Roadhouse.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
Roadhouse.
yes.
So
yes,
Dalton,
winner.
the best cooler in the business, right? Who was working at the Double Juice. This sort of after all of the murder and everything else that's happened and the takedown of that, but he just can't leave it. So this river house starts with us seeing, and it's gonna be filmed in the 80s, right? It's gonna be filmed in the 80s. Well, it'll be filmed in the 90s actually, because Roadhouse was 89. So it would be filmed in the early 90s, and it'll be Dalton is going back to being cooling, and he gets approached by a group of FBI agents.
So before you go on, what is a cooler for those who haven't seen Roadhouse
basically
the
head bouncer of an establishment they called a cooler, which I think is a great title.
Is that because they can calm down situations without having to step in and bounce,
of his three rules, which we'll get to.
Right.
We'll get to. So it starts with Swayze getting approached by the FBI to train Wade Garrett's son. Now, Wade Garrett was played by a very sexy Sam Elliott back in the day. Very, very sexy way. And for the famous Wade Garrett's the best cooler in the business, but Wade Garrett's getting old, right? Drifted from town to town. But they find out that Wade Garrett had a son who, went to military school, trained up through, joined the FBI, and then they need him to be a cooler at the River House boat. So he has to get trained by Dalton, by Patrick Swayze. And the person, I haven't got a name for Wade Garrett's son, something Garrett, but it would be played by Slash Garrett.
I was going to say Chip Garrett.
Chip is that is traditionally American.
Yeah,
it's pretty good, isn't it? Chip Garrett, and he
Slash is his nickname. Chip Slash Garrett, right?
Love it.
He's played by an at the time, so early 90s, William Zabka.
So listen,
sort of looks a little bit like
William Zabka. I'm out of touch with
from the Karate Kid.
As
Cobra Kai. Have you not been watching Cobra Kai?
I'm totally out of the Cobra Kai loop. I'm ashamed.
So I
only just got into it.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I watched it when it was on YouTube Red way back when, the first season. But that would be at the time. So it'd be, what is that? Close to 8 years after the Karate Kid, so we sort of look about this right age that we need him, and he sort of looks a bit like Sam Elliott at that time as well.
Yeah, you could get away with that.
Pass him off as his son. Yeah, to get away with it. So
also not the first time he's been a star of one of our /Dupe show pitches.
That's very true. That's very true. But neither is Daniel Kaluuya from the last one as well. He seems to be cropping up quite a lot in a lot of our ones.
As they should.
Cream rises. Cream rises.
So you get and it would only be like Swayze would be at the beginning, and then he'd take his paycheck and he'd be gone. Do you know what I mean? And then it's just focusing.
Like Steven Seagal in Executive Decision.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just literally like that. It's that beginning bit, but you get your 80s training montage. He's got to train him to be a cooler at the different bars, and obviously following his 3 famous rules, which is 1, never underestimate your opponent, expect the unexpected. 2, always take it outside. Never start anything inside of the bar unless it's absolutely necessary. And number 3, be nice.
Oh,
and that's where the cooler thing comes from.
That's good. I also think the first rule is 2 separate rules, but I'm not going to...
It is 2
I wouldn't take him up on
4,
that. It should be, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but then 4 fingers doesn't look as cool as 3.
You're totally right. You're totally right.
You know what I mean? Whichever way you want to hold up 3, 4,
and 3 is simple rules. We always get 1, 2, and 3. There's no 4th place. No one cares about 4th place at the Olympics.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So that would be but it's funny because it almost teaches you it teaches him the opposite things from his FBI training, right? Sort of that he's got a, instead of the always be nice thing where he's taught to act and always be investigating and that sort of stuff, he's got to try and hold it back. So the reason why he gets sent to the river house is it's like in the Mississippi, it's one of these like casino boats, the river boats that goes up and down, owned by some gator loving criminal. But the FBI have basically found that the people are like flying like drugs into, because the war on drugs at that time, you know, everyone loved that in America, didn't they? Yeah. So it was like they're getting flown into like these places in the middle of like the Mississippi or whatever, and then they're using the riverboat to like distribute them wider and wider. So he gets put on the boat as a cooler, and it's just like any sequel, it goes bonkers. Like, you know what I mean? Like the bars are crazier, the people are more meaner. There's clearly like a hit, like the cooler in command, like the secondary one who like doesn't like him because he's taken his promotion. And like, and it's really mean. And then they're like, and instead of just like kicking someone out the bar, they're literally like throwing them off the side of the boat while it's going on. But then there's like,
traditional Roadhouse, is it? We're a long way from the traditional Roadhouse. Yeah,
this is the long way from the traditional Roadhouse. Yeah. And like, you know, you just get like your mix of like early 90s with like rockabilly music as well, and the sort of the flavour of the 80s in there, which would be good. And there's like a boat at the back though, that like when they like, there's the boat of shame. So if they get thrown off the side of the boat, then they have to like sit in the boat of shame until it's finished its trip. And so it would basically turn out to be that actually the people getting thrown off the boat, like he's got to try and investigate what's going on, where the drug deals are happening, like who's getting the money, where and when. And what it would turn out to be was that the people getting thrown off the boat, it's strategic. So they're like getting jackets that are like lined where they're putting the drugs and like lining them, and then they're causing trouble, so they get thrown off the boat. And then they're like taking them off when they're in the water, so they'll sink, and then a crew will come and get them later on. And so that's what he finds out, that actually, like, you know, like peek into a locker room, probably because it's the early 90s, you could do that sort of stuff. And then you'll see people like getting their jackets filled and like whatever else, and he'll be like, oh, you know, it's not the customers are being rowdy, they're being rowdy on purpose, or something ridiculous like that. Obviously some kind of ridiculous gunfight. There's a lot of fist to hand to face combat, smashing poker chips and tables going everywhere. And then it will probably end with a standoff of like the boat, them going to destroy it, like in the engine room, like drop a flare in the gas tank or whatever.
Well, and the whole thing goes up.
And I'm gonna blow this whole boat up.
Alexander, what did you?
Well, my question was, because I realised his name hasn't actually been said. Like, Patrick Swayze is in this, isn't he? Because
so he's at the beginning, like training him. Training William Zabka.
So we're imagining that this
film
will come out definitely in the 90s. So it's like the lost Roadhouse movie. You know, maybe it's sat on VHS in someone's like, or you know, when they lose the reels of film somewhere and like no one takes care of them, they sit in a warehouse and somebody restores it. And it becomes like the Criterion's next big release, you know, the Lost Roadhouse sequel. Yeah.
And who would be the big bad boss? Do you have an idea?
See, this is like a tough one. Yeah. This is a tough one because I feel like it would be really
Sutherland.
What are you saying?
Kiefer Sutherland.
I thought
Joe Pesci. Isn't it? 90s.
But who's, because it would be really easy to, I don't know what age he would have been, but what's the guy that's like the bad guy in Justified, and then he's in loads of stuff.
Which series is like, Justified's an excellent TV show, but there's an excellent bad guy in each series. Not Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins is too.
Yeah, but I don't know what age Walton Goggins would have been.
Way too young
in the early 90s. That's the thing.
I know he looks old and grizzled now, but like I think he would have been too young to be a big boss.
I feel like it needs to be. Actually, here's the Bond connection. Right. All right.
Daniel Craig.
I'm bringing it in. No. Yeah. It will be, you know, the guy in like Thunderball that plays the cop.
That guy.
The root
He comes back about 6 times. He's like.
He does come back about 6 times.
Doesn't he?
So he can easily be like, you know, the rootin' tootin'.
Oh yeah, he's in GoldenEye as well.
Yeah, he is that guy. I don't know what he's called.
I'm finding it.
Is he the guy that like? It's his big break. We're theorising like he's always been the right hand man. He's always been the bit part actor. This is his big break to play the big bad guy.
He's called Joe Don Baker.
James. No, not that guy. I'm talking about Clifton James.
Oh,
Clifton James, because he's like proper
the chewing tobacco guy. He's like chewing tobacco and like is it the one with the Dukes of Hazzard one with the slide whistle?
Yes, I got you.
Yeah,
him.
Is he big bad material though, or is he
because obviously he's the big bad, but the truth is the actual person pulling the strings
FBI
is the secondary cooler.
Oh, okay.
No, it's the secondary cooler that Chip Garrett took the
job from.
Because this guy Clifton James ain't smart enough to come up with an operation like this. I'm the real brains of this operation. And then obviously when he blows his brains out, he'll say some kind of ridiculous one-liner, won't he?
Can he have a relationship with the cool like rockabilly chick bartender? Like it's got to be like who basically runs the shop, like runs the front of house.
She'll be
early 90s.
She'll be the double bass player in the band. That's what it is. That's everything that goes on here.
Kylie Minogue.
Acting debut.
Just coming hot off of
the casting.
Street Fighter.
Oh my God! Yeah, she was in Street Fighter.
Yeah, that's a follow-up film.
So honestly, I thought it's time I come up with something ridiculous, because I always come up with really serious ideas. And also, like, big up, I fucking love Roadhouse as a film. So
it's
to
great.
be able to not make it's so good. Naked yoga, pulling throats out. Sexy Sam Elliott.
So is this a hardline R-rated 18?
Yeah. I think this is like
maybe that's why it's canned. Like it was made and then they were like, oh, you have to cut it for 15 or whatever, and they were like, no, we're not doing it, and it's gets put.
You don't see many 18s nowadays.
It's like, but this is like this is made in the early 90s, isn't it? So because you still got that.
It was the home video market back then, wasn't there? And
it's the thing. It's like it's trying to hold on to its 80s roots. It's trying to do that, and they keep trying to get the soundtrack in. They keep trying to get the boy bands in, and the synths and everything. Like, they're trying to like get that back in, and they're like, no, we want to keep. And they settle on the like rockabilly style because they think they can sell it. So River House being the sequel to Roadhouse, I cannot want this film to be made anymore. Not just because this is my idea, but because like stepping back in time, and also for the fact that Roadhouse 2 is shit.
Is there a sequel to Roadhouse?
I didn't know that existed.
There is a sequel to Roadhouse, and it was made in it's called Roadhouse Last Call, which is like a very Slash-Dupe-esque title.
That's not a compliment, I don't think. But yeah.
No, that's not a compliment.
And the thing is, he doesn't actually. It's all about. It's Patrick Swayze's son. Who he never meets Patrick Swayze. It's his son, and he doesn't do any cooling at all in it. It's just that he's in his son, and he's trying to and it's because he did something when he was he arrested someone when it was he did a drug bust on someone when it was a state trooper, and that's what it is. Yeah.
That's dreadful. That is dreadful.
So it is. So I would be happy to rewrite history. Okay. And make the Roadhouse 2 film we never got.
Thanks for that, Ryan. That was a very effortlessly digestible pitch. You sort of know it very well. This sort of idea of the sort of film you would see, right? Kicking over tables and loads of squibs everywhere, and like you can just see it. And the music, all that sort of stuff. Those sort of drums. And, remember FX? Those sort of films were made. FX Murder by Illusion, or whatever it's called, FX2. There was such a terrible period of action films in Hollywood at that time, wasn't there? So that was great. That was great. yeah, terribly great. Yeah, exactly. So happy they exist. I love a bad film almost as much as a good film, which I think is why we like Slash-Dupe so much as well. So yes, but initially we had one pitch from Dan on the Slash-Dupe title River House. Thandiwe Newton just getting over her fear of water. Characters just getting over her fear of water. Proud of it. Happy, just come out the other end of it. Using dating apps, just getting back into the scene. Maybe she's been recently divorced or something. She's trying to get back out into the world. Stephen Graham, great choice of actor. Swipes and they connect. Don't worry, come to my riverboat. You get over your fear and come and meet a new person. It's the perfect thing to do. When she gets there, he's dead, and it's a one-location film as this narrow boat that she can't escape from drifts into the mist, the uncharted waters. I love a one-location horror film. It's like the idea of a fantastic sort of murder mystery in the mist. It's very classic and British as well, isn't it? And with a real commentary on gender roles and power, with the limited use of a dating app to communicate with people in order to help her to save herself. So that was a fantastic pitch. Next we had Alexander's pitch. For the cheap seats, I'm gonna give you the rundown of the ensemble. We had a film starring Miles Teller, Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, Lupita Nyong'o, Elizabeth Olsen, Stephen Burkhoff, and Sebastian Stan. Absolute goldmine.
That's all the pitch you need. You don't need anything else.
That sells a film.
See what happens.
That sells a film. Improvise for 2 hours, guys. Go.
Yeah.
And I'll take the credit.
So they're working so these guys are all working in the same company. They shed their corporate setting for a sunny holiday. Then they go from America to somewhere like Cancun. And they find out, as they're all pissed, that America is at war with another significant superpower, and Mexico is their adversary. So with shots fired, America under attack, they're grounded there and they must make their way home from Mexico to America via the safe house and operation known as River House, which, like, as already discussed, like a completely timely twist, a sort of wild and timely twist on the refugee story, but hopefully something with where you watch ordinary people and it's not something where you're expecting, Olympus has fallen or whatever. It really takes these ideas and makes them grounded and something powerful. So that was a really, really fantastic pitch and idea. And Ryan's Lost sequel to Roadhouse, River House, about Swayze's cooler Dalton, who's contacted by the FBI to train Dalton Jr. for a sting operation on Mississippi's grandest casino riverboat. So that's enough said on that one. I love them all, as I always do. Sometimes I wax lyrical and I do this and I do that and I give reasons. I haven't seen Roadhouse, so Ryan's is off the table. Right, I'm sorry, mate. What? I'm sorry, mate. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. I haven't seen Roadhouse. I don't know, man. I reserve the right to pop it back in at a later date if I see Roadhouse and understand the need for this sequel. But
they're remaking it with Ronda Rousey. So
that's an intriguing idea, though, isn't it? Like, I don't know if that's really good or really bad.
Yeah, because it was going to be Ronda Rousey as, like, basically playing like the female cooler, but then I'm pretty sure she, like, said something horrible about someone, didn't she? And then they dropped her. I think that sounds about right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, Ryan. I bet yours is out.
Well, I mean,
no, listen, I haven't finished yet. Wait. You can gripe later. All right, it has to be done. I haven't seen Roadhouse. The idea, excellent, but I don't have that connection to Roadhouse yet. So just for me personally, it has to go. But clearly, with Alexander, other people listening, they're happy to think I'm wrong. I want them on the social media. I want them to tell me. Maybe it comes back in.
They'll be screaming at their stereos.
At their hi-fi stereo systems.
Yeah, their hi-fi stereos.
With regards to the other two ideas, it's a tough one. What I love about Slash Dupe, and I've talked about this many times before, but I love being able to take an idea and sort of expand it. That's the wonderful thing about Slash Dupe. Like, it's not the same. Like Dan pitching an idea about a dating app and a dead person on a narrowboat. It's not the same without Alexander's input, Ryan's input, my input. Like, just the ability to sort of fill in the gaps. So that's a real testament and sort of I don't know. It's the perfect example of how Slash Dupe works, right? but that does not. Look at Dan's face. He knows what I'm going to say.
I knew where that was going. I knew where that was going.
That does not an ensemble cast like that make. That does not a winning idea make. It makes a slash dupe for sure, right? And that humbles me, and I love it. But it's just the timeliness as well of a new twist on the refugee story, and it's the idea of it actually being positive. I like that, man. You're not going with the cliches of like, oh, they tear themselves apart. Of course they do. That's not actually what we need right now. We don't need to see a film like that. And when refugees cross from place to place, they don't tear themselves apart to get there. You know, because, or at least to the best of my knowledge, I can imagine that the cliche is that they tear themselves apart to get somewhere. So I would like to not see that cliche. So I think that's really amazing, and not just the cast, but like the idea of who they've previously played, the baggage that they bring with them. That's all critical, and you've thought about that, right? It's all critical to the roles in the film, and it feels really present and really powerful. So Alexander, I've got to say you're my winner today. I'm very sorry for the other two, but
yay! I'll take that.
That was a fantastic.
I came up with a one-line pitch, and that was it. So,
but that's the power of slash dupe. You know,
he deserves to win.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
Thank you very much, gents.
So yeah, that was a fantastic episode. I really humbled and amazed to hear your idea and the effort you put in, Alexander. That's fantastic. What do you have on at the moment? What do you want to tell people about?
Well, obviously,
apart from the amazing Just So,
I was about to say, apart from the amazing Just So at the Watermill Theatre,
which is on for another week by the time this comes out. You've got another week to get your tickets.
You've got another week to go and to come down and see it. Say hello, by all means. Aside from that, I doubt it will be by the end of this year. It will probably be in the new year now. So. But I have been working on an album, which will be available on all platforms eventually. But if you follow my Instagram, and that is at Swifty the King, that's SWIFTYTHAKING, you'll be able to keep up to date. Indeed. I'm down with the kids, me.
That sounds amazing.
You'll be able to. No, of course. You'll be able to keep up with everything that I'm doing musically.
It's an 80s concept album, is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, of course. I'm basically remaking Thriller.
You heard it here first. That'll be easy. It'll be fine.
Get Quincy on the
of
line.
Course. Yeah. I just got in touch with Quincy Jones. He flew over in lockdown. And
that sounds great, man. And you're the voice of Good Morning Britain, which I only just found out about, which is tremendous. That's where you recognise those dulcet tones from that you're listening to right now.
If you want like your ASMR listening to his voice putting you to sleep.
No, of course.
Good Morning Britain's not the time to be listening to that. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, indeed. Yeah. So yeah, voice of your morning.
Voice of your morning, I love it. I love it.
Voice of your morning.
I love that.
Yeah, for a year now.
Can we get an I'm Alexander Bean and you're listening to Slash Dupe? Is that too much to ask?
Oh, no, not a problem.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm Alexander Bean and you're listening to Slash Dupe.
Oh, thank you, man.
That's
amazing.
Just the end of that just goes right through you, doesn't it?
That's superb. Yeah. So that's great, man. Well, we'll check out your Instagram, everyone at home. Swifty the King, is that right? And then
indeed,
that King. Yeah.
And that sounds fantastic.
That's so cool.
Anyone who says that it reduces the cool, doesn't it? Like 5 levels. But that was amazing, and thanks Ryan. Where can people find us if they want to get a hold of us and they want to?
We're still SEO beating kings with just searching, just googling, Ask Jeevesing, Yahooing. If you just search
Bing,
/Dupe,
Bing, you forgot Bing.
We've got the whole Bing. We've got the whole thing.
No Bing sponsorship, no Microsoft sponsorship for us.
We've now literally, I searched on Bing just now, and we've literally just lost it at the top mark.
But if you want to get us, you can at /Dupe on all platforms. As I said, you can just Google it, and we've beaten the SEO on that. But please come and tell us. We want to know. We want you to come on and berate Sean until he watches Roadhouse. We want you to come on and tell us your ideas of what you think River House would be. We're always getting the support from the people that we want, and then as we get closer and closer, we want to know which films you're going to vote for and which films you think deserve to be made into a trailer.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. And thanks, Alexander. Thanks, Dan. And thanks, Ryan, for joining me today. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Pleasure.
But Josh Brolin is literally in everything. Like there's like
and Norman Reedus is in it as well.
Yeah, well there you go. But you'll be hard pressed to find a good film that Josh Brolin isn't in. Like he just seems to he's got a wicked agent. Like
yeah, you're right. He does.
Like apart from maybe like Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter. Harry Potter neither here nor there. Lord of the Rings is not in that. And he's not in Star Trek, but he's in practically everything else.
yeah, you're right. I do. I mean, he was Thanos. I mean, to date, the biggest Marvel villain, right?
Thanos and Cable in the same year.
Yeah.
In the same year.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's like leave some for the rest of us.
Let's never forget that he was also Jonah Hex. So he's hit Dark Horse.
Yeah, he's been.
And then also,
did he do DC? He didn't. He hasn't done DC.
He's done DC as well.
Has he?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, he wasn't. Not The Spirit. He was in.
Oh yeah, he was in Sin City, of course, wasn't he?
Yes, there you go.
Yes,
there you go. That is a DC property.
Man. That's what he's done.
And he was in The Goonies. Like,
yeah, he was. We talked about The Goonies in a couple of episodes ago, didn't we?
Has not held up.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But like the fact that he was in that as well. Like I told you, everything. Like you're going to be like, oh, this is a good film. Of course, it's a good film. There's Josh Brolin.
Do you know what? He's probably like the new Kiefer Sutherland, isn't he? Because if you remember, like back in the day, Kiefer Sutherland was that guy, wasn't he? That turned up and everything. So like
100%. And Barbara Streisand's his stepmom. So like.
Oh, that can't hurt, can it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Recorded in the Capo Studios, 2021. What's up, danger?